Morning, everyone. Long time no see. uh, we have been kind of unable to go live due to the last hurricane that come through here. Had some very iffy internet connection. It was kind of like in and out all the time. So instead of going live and having problems, we just decided to cancel the last couple lives and wait until Comcast got out here and fixed it up, which they did. They came out yesterday and got us going again. So I thought we'd go live this morning. We're also going to go live this Tuesday, where we have Jennifer Bryant from Bryant's Roost coming on, and she's going to be talking about getting started with quail. I know there's a lot of newbies in here who are just getting started, and Jennifer's got a wealth of information when it comes to stuff like that. So join us Tuesday. That'll be at 7 p.m. a regular live stream, and yeah, that'll be a good show. Also, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Gopher Ridge Quail Farm and Hatching Time. HP of Gopher Ridge donates hatching eggs to give away, and I believe we're going to be doing a giveaway on this morning's live stream. So for those of you who are looking to get some hatching eggs, comment Gopher Ridge in the chat room there, and we'll go ahead and select from those for the winner of the hatch, or for the winner of the hatching eggs. Hatching Time. Because we're going live twice this week, we're not going to do a gift certificate giveaway this morning. We'll go ahead and do that on Tuesday. And yeah, I just don't want to hit Hatching Time up too many times. Okay, what else is new? Well, I hatched out a bunch of chicks over the hurricane weekend. I think I ended up getting like out of I had 120 and 80, so I had 200 eggs that were set. I think maybe 150 of them went into lockdown, and then I got about 112, 113 hatched out. But I went through all those chicks, and now we're looking at 3 weeks ago, guys. I went through all those chicks, and I selected 20 of the best. I kept 10 Egyptians and 10 of the best looking pharaohs, which I now have out in my aviary. And so that looks like I got to start building cages now, guys, because I want to do a couple different breeding programs this year. And I obviously can't do it in the aviary. There's no way to control it. So let's see what else. The hurricane, we survived the hurricane just fine. A little bit of damage to my roof, ripped off some shingles, but nothing serious. And my fence stayed up. The bees did really good. They didn't have no problems. I strapped them down just to make sure that if they did get blown over, at least the hives would stay together. And all I had to do is go back out there and stand them up. But knock on wood, everything turned out great. We did lose power for, I think it was 4 days. Yeah, I think it was like 4 days. But like I said, we had generators, so that was no big deal. What else? What else is that? It's been a while since we've gone live, so I kind of wanted to keep you guys updated. I think that's about it, really. We did select our October winner for the Coturnix Kids Project, and that was supposed to have been announced back at the beginning of the month, but like I say, due to storms and stuff that just keep wanting to blow through here, we were unable to go live. So we're going to go ahead and announce the winner today. Our judges over on the CoturnixCorner.com selected the kids that win each month. And for the month of October, they selected Randy. Let's see if I can read that with my terrible eyes here this morning. It's kind of small, but Randy says, my name is Randy. I'm 13 years old. My sister saved up her money and bought some local quail. My mom joined Coturnix Corner to learn more about caring for them properly. She found out about this contest, showed it to me, and I thought it would be a fun to hatch and raise some quail of my own. I have alpacas and a llama, and I love taking them places for people to see and pet. When my mom told me about this challenge, I knew it would be a great opportunity for us and the alpacas to go out and do some community service to help others. Well, that's great. My mom posted a local city group with over 80,000 people for suggestions on where to bring them. And after getting over 40 comments, I chose to bring them to the Griffith Centers for Children. Griffith Centers is a nonprofit organization offering a full spectrum of mental and behavioral health services. I can't read that. Let's see, where am I at? To care for populations who have experienced trauma and hardships to build resiliency, hope, and healing for those we serve. Basically, they help children with mental and behavioral issues as well as children in foster care. They invited us to a last day of school celebration. Interacting with the therapy animals can have a calming effect for people with mental health issues, and they can also reduce anxiety to help teach social skills. This made a perfect fit for my community service idea. It's a very good idea too, Randy. I gave a short demonstration about the camelids and talking about where they're from, what they can be used for, and some other facts about them. Most of the kids were very interested in being around the camelids and learning about them. One of them even brushed our alpaca for over an hour. Afterwards, my mom talked to some of the counselors and found out they were very surprised about which kids were most interested in being around the camelids, and said the kids who brushed the alpaca for over an hour never sit still for that long, and was shocked. Many of the kids were more calm and well-behaved when they were with the camelids. Sorry, guys, I'm having a hard time seeing this. It really made me feel happy seeing the expressions on their faces when they saw the llama and the alpaca come out of our trailer. It was a very rewarding experience. I felt like we made a big difference to the kids, and I would love to continue taking them places that are making others happy. The counselors even asked us to come back in the future. Randy, that's amazing. That's exactly what this whole program is about, is helping others. And you stepped up to the plate and did a wonderful job. I mean, to go out, and make kids' day, especially kids, that have, either behavioral or mental issues. Randy, that's excellent. So, Randy, we've got a whole bunch of prizes for you. I don't have the slide up, or I would show them. You're going to get, as a matter of fact, they should already be on their way, Randy. I actually put them into our sponsors last week. So you are going to be getting an incubator. You're going to be getting some hatching eggs. You're going to get a cage from Hatching Time. It's a 2-unit cage. You're going to get a bag of feed. Let's see what else. A tumbler from Coturnix Corner, and a few other prizes. So, Randy, keep an eye on your mailbox. That stuff should be getting to you probably, if you haven't already got something, by the end of this week. Wait, what's today? Oh, it's Sunday. If you haven't already got it by Friday, you'll probably be getting it the first part of this week. So, Randy, thanks again, and really appreciate your entry. And guys, if you have any kids that would like to get entered into this program for a chance, at winning some great prizes, head on over to Coturnixcorner.com, and at the top nav bar, there's a link that tells you, how to go about getting entered. So cool. Very happy that Randy was chosen this month, because that's a really good project, and he did a wonderful job on it. All right, guys, I think that's about it out of me. Guess we can go over into the chat room and see who all's with us today. If you guys got any questions, go ahead and post them in the comments. Any topic. We're not on Sundays. We're not real, picky about what we're discussing. Quail related is nice, but it's Sunday morning, guys. We'll talk about anything we want. I do have some openings for the Coturnix Corner Live on Tuesday. For those of you who would like to, maybe show off your farm or some of your animals and stuff. If you'd like to be a guest to come on the show, just reach out to me at terry@coturnixcorner.com, and we will set something up. It's real easy. Basically, I send you a link. is you allow the software to use your camera and microphone on your computer or laptop, whatever. And yeah, we can get you set up real easy. Twisted Garrett Farm is in the house. Twisted Garrett's, I am going to be contacting you first part of this week. I want to see if you want to come on the show. I know you mentioned it over on the Coturnix Corner Facebook group. So welcome. Twisted Garrett's Farm says good morning. Good morning to you. David DeBarge in the house says good morning from West Plains, Missouri. Confetti Quail is in the house. Says good morning, everyone. For those of you who didn't know, Allie is one of our new moderators over on the Coturnix Corner Facebook group, kind of helping me out, keeping things in the group going well, but also, approving new members, stuff like that. So I really appreciate it too, Allie. Dragon Girl says good morning, everyone. Good morning. Benjamin's in the house. Says good morning, peeps. Brian says good morning, everyone. Morning, Brian. HP Murray's in the house. Says good morning. The sunshine is beautiful. Yeah, every once in a while, Georgia gets sun. Welcome, HP. Thank you very much for all that you do for the channel. We really appreciate it. Guys, some of the eggs that I just hatched out were from HP, and I selected some birds out of there, which are going to be part of my new breeding group. So HP, thank you again for them. All Out of Spoons says good morning. I love that name. All Out of Spoons. Good morning. Glad you could join us. Show Me Bunnies and More says good morning from New Haven, Missouri. 80 here today. We will take it. Busy day on the farm. Glad you could join us. Don Skins in the house says good morning from South Mississippi. Good to see you. Yep, we're glad you're here, Don. And like I say, it's been kind of hectic here for the past probably 3 weeks. I mean, we had Hurricane Helene came through, and knock on wood for us, it wasn't that bad. I mean, we had some wind, but it was nothing terrible. And then it seemed like 2 weeks later, here comes Milton, just to slam the door shut on everything. Milton was a little bit more of a crazy storm. We had some tornadoes, one that actually went not over my house, but right over my neighbor's. And boy, did it make a mess over there. So, but yeah, it's hopefully hurricane season's over with for the year. And we have a YouTube user in the house. Says hello from Western Oregon. I'm trying to think. Western Oregon. I know who you are. I just can't think of your name right off the top of my head. I know you said you were having problems getting in or commenting something when you were in YouTube, so you went over to Facebook. And I didn't even know that we were live on. Oh, never mind. You're on YouTube. If you want your name to show up, you need to either create an account and log into that account, so we can see your name. Patrick says, good morning. Still cleaning up from Milton as well. Yeah. Luckily, our cleanup is over with. We had, there was a bunch of trees and stuff down, and we had a guy on a loader. He was driving up and down the roads, scooping up all the trees and brush and whatnot, and carrying it to the end of the street, making a huge pile. And I noticed yesterday that the big claw trucks came through and removed most of them piles. So we're pretty much getting back to normal. There's still some places that got a little bit of damage, but we survived it pretty well. Caseo Farms says hello from Ghana. Well, glad you could join us. Data Farms in the house says woohoo. Good morning, Terry and all. Great to see y'all. Yeah, it's nice to actually do a live stream again. I was getting, I was going to go live last week, Tuesday, I think it was, but after the storm, it really messed up my internet. I would have internet for 15 minutes, then it'd be out for a half hour, then it'd come on. It was too random. I didn't even want to chance it. So, Nana Pepper's in the house says, oh, no, not Pepper, sorry. Good morning. Glad you could join us, Nona. Rabbit Homesteading, best tip to start with quail. Just do it. That is a good tip. Another good tip is to start out with some decent birds. There's, get your hatching eggs from people that, are taking the time to work with the birds as far as, genetics for one, but um, temperament, body type. There's no sense in starting off at the bottom and trying to work your way up, breed your way up. There's a lot of people out there that have already done that. So yeah, start out with good hatching eggs, and I think you'll be a lot happier. Okay, we've got a whole bunch of people who are commenting Gopher Ridge to get into the egg drawing this morning. Kurt V says, good morning from Michigan. Glad you could join us, Kurt. Dragon Girl's in the house. Says, congratulations, Randy. Benjamin says, congratulations, Randy. We got a whole bunch of people congratulating Randy. Dave B's in the house. Says, congratulations, Randy, and good morning, everyone. Andy Rabbit's joining us today. Good morning, Andy. Good morning. Glad you could join us. Tater Farm says, congratulations, Randy. Grateful for your servant's heart. Enjoy your quail. Exactly, 100%. Jennifer Snyder's in the house. Says, hi, Terry, from Maybe Acres, North Fort Myers. Jennifer is a fellow beekeeper. We've been talking. She's getting interested in quail, so I sent her the link to Coturnix Corner, and hopefully she'll join us as a quail breeder. But glad you could join us, Jennifer. Very surprising. Bob Cole's in the house. Says, good morning, all. Morning, Bob. Glad you could join us. All Out of Spoon says, do quail need heat lamps during the winter? Mine are shivering in the 40s in our barns. Thanks. Not really. I mean, in the 40s isn't that bad, depending on the age of your birds. As long as they're not, as long as they're fully feathered out, they're full-grown birds, I would say anywhere from 5 to 6 weeks on. 40s is no big deal for them. They can handle it. And also, what they'll do is they'll kind of huddle together, and share the warmth. But what I just did, like I said, I got all my birds out in the aviary. I had 2 hatches. One hatch hatched out about the week that Hurricane Helene went through, and then 2 weeks later, I had another hatch out, and I just yesterday put out the second batch of chicks, and believe it or not, they're just 2 weeks old, maybe. I don't know when Milton was. Today's what, the 20th? I think Milton was the 8th or the 9th. So they're pretty young, but like I'm in Florida, so I really don't have to worry about it. But what I'm trying to do is I'm kind of testing how well those 2 different age groups are going to do out in the aviary together. And what I did was I put a bunch of hide spots in there. So if the bigger ones decide they want to run the little ones around, the little ones can kind of hide and get away from them. But as far as if your birds are young, yeah, I would definitely put a heat lamp in one corner. That way, if they do need the extra heat, they have it. But if they're, like I say, 5 or 6 weeks old, they're fully feathered out, they should do just fine out there. Let's see. David says, my first 120 set turned out to be a huge disappointment. I had such high hopes. We'll try again in the near future. Yeah, I think, David, I talked to you about that. Don't get discouraged. I mean, it happens. I've had hatches where, they just don't go as planned. You set 100 eggs and you get 20 to hatch out. Things happen. As far as, and what I always tell people is to crack open the eggs that didn't hatch, to find out at what point of development they were, look over the chicks that are inside, make sure, you don't see any like deformities and whatnot. You're basically looking for what may have caused them to not hatch. A lot of times too, if you're careful when you open the egg, you can check that inner membrane. And if it's been pipped, the inner membrane, but the chick just didn't hatch out or didn't externally pip, a lot of times what happens is there's too much humidity and that air cell is real small, and the chick pips the inner membrane but doesn't have enough oxygen to survive to pip the externally. So they die that way. But anyhow, there's a lot of stuff that you can look at when you open up the eggs that'll kind of hopefully give you clues, to what went wrong. But David, just write it off. It's no big deal. I know hatching eggs aren't cheap, but try to figure out what went wrong, fix it, and try it again. Dave B says, do we get to see your new setup, Terry? Well, the only setup I got right now is the my aviary, which you've seen it on the channel. But yes, once I start building my new hutches, I've been talking with Allie of Maine's Confetti Quail Farm, and she's been giving me some ideas on setting up the hutches, and a little bit different setup for me than her because she's got to deal with the cold. I've got to deal with the heat. But yeah, we'll get something, and I absolutely will share it with you guys. We're going to do, build videos on them and whatnot. So, let's see. Andrew Abbott says, "What type did you get, Terry?" I got two. Actually, HP sent me a variety of colors. Out of the ones I got from HP, I saved some of the jumbo pharaohs, and I also saved some of the jumbo Egyptians. And then I got some eggs from Bryant's Roost, which I saved both of them, the Egyptians and the jumbos that she has. So, yeah, like I say, I'm just going to grow these out and see how well they do. And I'll probably, once these, are fully grown out, I'll probably select from them. Like I say, I've got 20 now. I might select maybe 5 or 10 of them to keep, and then, start either hatching out some more eggs, or once these start laying, I'll hatch out eggs from them. Tater Farm says, Terry, out of your hatch and the 10 of each variety you kept, what is your hen to roux ratio, and what are you starting with? To be honest with you, on the first batch, I think I kept seven hens and 3 roosters. On the second batch, I wasn't really concerned because I was just selecting for body type, and it's kind of hard at 2 weeks old to really select birds for body type. But I had a friend of mine, come by to pick up some birds, and so I just went through and I picked all the birds that were standing big and tall like peacocks. They weren't all hunched over and hunchbacked and whatnot. And those are the ones that I held on to select my birds from. Andy Ravis says, glad you survived the hurricanes. Yeah, it really wasn't that big a deal. I mean, Milton was my fifth major storm that I've been through. And in my house, it's a concrete block house, so it's not going anywhere. The only thing I worry about is the roof. And luckily, I've never had real damage to the roof, except when Charlie came through. We lost some plywood then, but usually I only lose a few shingles. So, but we're okay. Brian says, I'm experimenting with a new incubator build, something I can put 2 turners in on each rack. Cool. If you're in the Facebook group page, take some pictures and post it over there. And a lot of people like seeing the DIY boxes. Let's see. Lofton says, do you need treated wood? Yes and no. I mean, you can use it. I've used it before and I've never had a problem with it. Some people aren't real keen on exposing their birds to creosote, which is what they soak the treated wood with. But I've never had a problem using treated wood. And then the second half of my quail journey, I got rid of almost all my wood frame cages and built all wire cages. But I have to go back to wood frame cages again because I'm going to be outside, and all wire cages just won't work out there for me. Let's see. Yeah, Lofton, if it's outside, pressure treat is going to help you, especially, as far as the legs go, and even the framing around the bottom of the cage where you've got your wire stapled to, because the moisture and whatnot from the manure and what can speed up rotting if it's not treated. And plus, I like to pressure wash my cages a lot too, so treated lumber is good for that. Mark says, have 4-week-old birds. Is it okay to put them out now with the temps going into the 30s? Yeah, 4 weeks old, as long as they're fully feathered, that should be no big deal. Just make sure that the birds can get out of the wind and the weather, basically, out of the rain, out of the wind. They should do fine. By 4 weeks, they're pretty much mostly feathered. So yeah, they should be okay. Benjamin says, important tip on raising quail: have your cages built and ready before you get your quail. They grow faster than you think. Yeah, you're telling me. Luckily for me, I had the aviary, so that I had a place I could throw them in until I start putting together some breeder cages. 340 Quail Farm says, better late than never. Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. Mount Dora, Florida, checking in. Glad you could join us. Patrick says, had my first batch of quail spend 2 additional days in the mail because of Helene, and then lost power for about 8 hours with Milton. Incubator got down to 75 before the generator got hooked up. Yeah, and I would imagine, Patrick, you probably still had a pretty decent hatch. Quail eggs seem pretty resilient. I mean, I've had incubators fail on me. Just, all kinds of stuff. Like you say, power outages, and they seem to, do just fine. As long as it's not for an extended period, they seem to do pretty good. I know the last time, this was when I had my birds indoors, the last big hatch I did, I think it was like 240 eggs in my DIY box. And what happened was the light bulbs burned out. I never in my life seen 2 light bulbs burn out at the same time. I don't know whether we took a surge or something and that, fried both the bulbs, but both of them burned out. And the reason I had 2 bulbs is if one burned out, you always had the other one for backup. But they both burned out, and I walked out in the shop the next morning. It was the middle of winter because it was pretty chilly, and I noticed my ink bird was reading like 51 degrees. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just, all the eggs are gone. But I went ahead and, replaced the bulbs and hatched them out, and I still had a really good hatch rate. I think better than 70%. So let's see, Patrick said still hatched 3 of 15. That's not the best, but for what you went through, for them being in the mail that long, and the issues with the power outage, all I can say is try again. 340 Quail Farm says, questions. I had quite a few hens lose some back feathers. Since then, I've removed the males to give my hens a breather. How long before the feathers grow back? It can take a while. You might want to bump up the protein in their feed to help them, build up to be able to grow the feathers. But I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, I've run into the same thing, especially when you're running breeding groups, smaller breeding groups, like 1 to 3, 1 rooster to 3 hens. The hens get overbred, and that's why they're losing their feathers. As long as it's not an issue where they're picking feathers, some birds will pick feathers to eat them. I wouldn't really worry about it, to be honest with you. But like I say, if you want to separate them to let those feathers grow back, I would give them. It's probably going to take over a month. I would say a month and a half, going on 2 months before they're fully grown back in. But I wouldn't worry about it. If you want to breed them, go ahead and keep the roosters in there. And they should do fine. I mean, there's a lot of issues. Not just quail, but other poultry too have the same issues. I've even seen in some of the chicken groups, people will make this little, it's like a jacket that goes over the hen, and that way when the rooster mounts them, he's not tearing their backs up. So, but yeah, like I say, I don't worry about it. I've seen it many times in my birds, and I've never had a problem with them just letting them go like that. Dave says, can quail survive minus 103 degrees Fahrenheit? Study was done in the 80s. As the mercury plunges, their food intake increases. If anybody's trying to keep them laying, 65 is the most productive for laying. I hope that's 103 degrees Fahrenheit above zero, not 103 below. I wouldn't think anything could survive 103 below. I mean, I'd be really surprised if they do, but yeah, I mean, if trying to keep them laying at 65 degrees Fahrenheit, I think that's going to be like a location thing, because I've had birds in my shop that the lowest the temperatures would ever get is about 80 degrees, and the highest would be over 100. And I've never had a problem keeping my hens laying year round. 65 would be really nice because that'd make it a lot more comfortable for me working out there. But I think they kind of, adapt to the location that they're in. And, because I've seen people go on both extremes, extremely cold temperatures and extremely warm temperatures, and they do just fine either way. Lofted says, "How many birds for 8 square feet?" I like to keep mine on average about 2 birds per square foot. Sometimes I'll push it to 3. Like when I was breeding more commercially, I was trying to produce a lot of eggs and have a lot of hatching eggs for sale. I was going about 3 birds per square feet, but that's pretty cramped. It's pretty crowded. But for a commercial setup, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. But I wouldn't go much more than 2 if you're just trying to, just keep them for eggs and meat layers. So let's see, 2, that'd be 16 birds for 8 square feet. Andy Rabbit says, I have had a quail egg frozen to her chest before in the winter. Wow. That's pretty cold if that can happen. Let's see. PTGF says, had 2 hatch in the first batch. One started to lay a single egg for about 3 weeks, then stopped, added supplemental light, and now have 14 hours. Nobody has started to lay again. Any thoughts? Bump it up to 16 hours of daylight. If they still don't want to lay, make sure that you don't have anything stressing them out, like predators. I mean, there's a lot of stressors on quail. It could be a cat wandering by, a dog. If they're getting stressed and they don't want to lay, it's funny that none of them are laying, but I would look for anything that could be stressful. Get your supplemental lighting up to 16 hours a day, and then see how they do. You could also make sure they're on a layer feed. You don't want them on a real high protein feed, like a 30%. I would drop their feed down to a 16 or 18% layer feed. It's got a little bit more calcium in it, and that's going to, encourage them to want to start laying. So, I'm not saying that they won't lay on a higher layer feed, but they seem to do better when you cut the calcium levels back a little bit, or not the calcium, but the protein levels back a little bit. Let's see. Brian says, definitely will post pictures. Cool. I look forward to seeing them. Benjamin says, how long with the new lights now? The new lights. What new lights? Not sure what you're talking about, Benjamin. Raymond Shoes this morning, everyone. Glad you could join us, Raymond. 340 Quail Farm says, currently building a new shed for expansion. What are your thoughts on using a toilet fill valve system for watering system? Any negatives or leaking overflow issues? I actually thought about doing something like that for my outside birds, especially in the aviary. What I was going to do was have a big holding tank with the toilet fill valve in it, and then all my pipes would run off of that. But I don't see any issues with it. As long as they're going through enough water to where the water up in your basin doesn't have time to, get algae buildup or anything growing in there, I don't really see that it would be an issue. And obviously, if you're in an area where, the water can freeze, that might, present a problem. But, other than that, I don't see a real issue being there. Oh, let's see. Wow, Dave says it's 103 below. Phew, that's cold. I mean, I don't know. To be honest with you, I've never tested the very coldest end of keeping quail. I got family up in Michigan that raise quail, brother-in-law. His do just fine out in the winter, but I guarantee it doesn't get down to 103. Laura says, are there any suggestions for a water heater for them? I know they make these little things that you can drop inside a water tank to, plug them in. It keeps the water warm. I'm not a big fan of those, mainly because I don't like mixing electricity and water together. I'm not saying that it would actually mess anything up, but now Allie from Confetti Quail, she's up in Maine, and they have some pretty harsh winters up there. And last time I was talking to her about that, she said she was just feeding her quail snow in the wintertime. And they get plenty of moisture, from the snow itself. So, short of changing the water out and, you would end up, you're in Maine too. So Laura, contact Allie over at Maine's Confetti and see what she says. But like I say, she told me she was giving her birds snow, and they did just fine on that. All right. That brings us down to the bottom of the chat room list. Oh, wait a minute. Nabiki just popped in. Cool. Nabiki says, it's still dark out, so I'm here instead of doing my chores. Well, I'm glad you could join us, Nabiki. It's been a while since I've seen you in here. And that's right. You're a few hours behind us, so I imagine it would still be dark. Andy Rabbit says, I found that quail like to peck ice in the winter. As long as they get fresh water 2 or 3 times a day, they do good. As long as you can give them some place to get out of the wind, they are good. There you go. Laura says, okay, makes sense. Chickens do that. I'll contact her. Very good. Vicky says, just in time to catch the end. Yep. Okay. I am going to go back up to the top. And if you guys wonder why I keep hacking, it's got to be something to do with my coffee. I drink coffee in the morning because I wake up and I'm not hacking. But it seems like after I drink that first cup of coffee, I get phlegm built up in my throat and just want to hack. So don't know. All right, where are we here? Got quite a few people that are interested in eggs. See if I can't find somebody that we haven't shipped to. Benjamin, I'm going to go ahead and send you some eggs. Or actually, I'm not, but Gopher Ridge HP is going to. Let's see if I can write this down real quick. Benjamin, you're going to get a 30 count of Gopher Ridge hatching eggs. What I need you to do is send me your shipping information. I need a good address, a good email, and a good phone number. And I will forward that over to HP. And HP, he contacted me yesterday and said that he is back up and running. So I don't think it will take him very long to get your shipment out. And yeah, congratulations on that. Let's see. Where did I leave off at? All right, Dave B says, have a great week, everyone. Glad to start the Sunday off right. Thanks, Terry. Absolutely, Dave. Glad you could join us. Jennifer says, for freezing water with horses, they suggest dropping bottles of water that have been heavily salted into the water. I don't know if that might work. Huh. No, I've never heard of that. But anybody out there want to try that that's in a cold area? Let us know how it works. Okay, we've got a whole bunch of people congratulating Benjamin. All right, guys. That brings us down to the bottom of the list. I am going to be going live on Tuesday. Like I say, we've got Jennifer Bryant of Bryant's Roost coming on. She is going to be helping out people that are just getting started with quail. It's basically a Quail 101 or a beginner's live stream. Not to say that, more experienced breeders won't find it interesting, but we're kind of gearing this live stream towards the newbies. Jennifer's going to go over how to get set up, what to look for, when you're getting your hatching eggs, equipment you're going to need, brooders, that kind of stuff. So, all right, guys, I don't see any more. Oh, I'm sorry, Benjamin. I thought I told you how to send that to me. It's Terry@coturnixcorner.com. And I'll go ahead and put that in the chat room for you. And the Beaky says, oh, for your information, the compost pile that I put in the middle of my greenhouse is providing heat. Cool. There you go. It was steaming nicely yesterday morning. Cool. All right, guys, I am going to pull the plug on this one. I think I'm going to go out and poke my head into a couple of my beehives just to see how they're doing since the storm went through. But guys, I want to thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to join us Tuesday, because that's going to be a really interesting live with Jennifer Bryant. And also, for those of you who would want to possibly become a guest on the live stream, reach out to me. You can either contact me over on the Facebook group page, or just email me, Terry@coturnixcorner.com, and we'll go ahead and get you guys set up and bring you on the show. So, guys, have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Stay safe, and we will see you guys on Tuesday. Bye now.